Okay, guys, I'm like huffing and slathering a lot of peppermint right now because I'm trying to like slam out these videos while I have a minute. More like while Jay has the kids at the park. Okay. This is a fun one, and it's also like a huge topic. So I'm gonna try to not make this crazy long. I'm gonna try to just give you the basics and like the must knows, okay, of social media. So, there are some really simple, really effective strategies that we want to talk about. So, first, let's talk about where is my phone? Who wakes up in the morning and you do a lot of this, and you're just okay. Now I can't even open my phone because I screwed with it. The mindless scrolling, right? Guilty, right here. I really super encourage you to change that habit into something that's productive. And here's how you do it. If you've heard me talk about, if you've done your 30 days of sharing, the 10 people club, okay? All this means is that every day, you 10 times, you pick 10 people, you're scrolling, and something catches your eye, you are going to leave a meaningful comment on their post, okay? And you got to prioritize, okay? It doesn't count if it's like your mom, okay? Like we're good there. That relationship's pretty solid, hopefully. So we're talking about people that you maybe aren't like super tight with, or like you don't see every day, but you like them. They're like people that you are glad that you're connected with, and they posted something that you're like, oh, like it stirs something in you. You want to say something about it. Okay, you don't force yourself to like. If it doesn't come to you, then okay, scroll to the next person. Maybe the next thing they post will be more interesting, and you can comment on that. So 10 people. And so instead of just mindlessly scrolling, find things to brighten that person's day. Like, I don't know about you, but I can think of people that are on my friends that like, what I know, I like look forward to their comments. Like they always leave something like super sweet or thoughtful or something that just makes me go like, oh, like they make me feel appreciated. You want to be that person. Like I think about how you can be the person that your friends are going to look forward when they get that notification, like, oh, Emily commented, and they're like, oh, like they want to see, So, and then also don't be stingy with the likes. I have this problem. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to like everything and be like, no, just whatever is a like. Like there's 50 other people liking it. Just like it. And also make sure that you are hitting your forgotten friends. We have a thing about that. You go to your friends list and you scroll all the way. This is Facebook. Go all the way to the bottom. Those are the people that Facebook thinks that you don't care about. So revive them, click on their profiles and like and comment on something. I mean, do what you feel comfortable with. Like, so don't, if you're like, ooh, I want to pour into this person, you probably are going to feel worried about like going and liking and commenting on like their last like 20 posts, right? Because you're going to feel like a stalker. So don't, if you feel like a stalker, then don't do a stalkery thing. So 10 people club. Also, I'm gonna bring up a classic, if you will, in network marketing, which is the list. This is something that like used to drive me nuts. Like I don't typically vibe with like typical network marketing strategies, if you will. And one of those is to like make this list, everyone you know, so you can start building those relationships. Like literally, like they want you to put like 100 people on this list, right? Okay, so I'm not going to tell you to do that necessarily. If you want to, hooray, that's your thing. My thing is I call it the list of love. So I am currently more organized with this on Instagram than I am on Facebook, which is stupid because there is a way to organize it on Facebook. I'm just bad at it. I have like a note in my phone. It's low tech, but of people that I really want to pour into. And so what I am trying to do currently is like take just a small section of people that I like really like, and like I either know like, oh my gosh, like she freaking needs our oils, like she's a little bit crunchy and she likes natural things, and like, oh, her baby isn't sleeping, and and you're like, oh my God, like she needs what we have, you know? Or maybe I have someone on that list that is like banging on social media, like awesome, she does amazing, everyone loves her post, she has a, you know, nice following or whatever, she just is really good at what she does, and you're like, I would buy anything from you. Maybe you should be on my team. So people like that. So people that either, you know, totally you would want them to be on your team doing the business, or people that they super need oils and they don't have them yet, and you're like, oh my gosh, like get with the program. Yeah, that's about that, right? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so like people that are in like those categories, have a list of those people and make it like a manageable list that you may, and maybe you rotate like from month to month. I just heard this recently, like someone said, oh, you have 10 people, this is another version of 10 people club. Have 10 people that you are gonna like really get tight with. And like, so maybe that's more like your actual friends, people that you are super friends with. You just really like, you're messaging them more and you're just keeping in touch more to the point where it's like, now you're a lot tighter with them. Like now you're, you know, so, okay. So, cause a big part of what we're doing on social media is not just posting stuff, but being a good, you know, kind of like on the other end of things, like being a good recipient of what they're putting out there, you know? So it's a fine line between like wasting all day scrolling and consuming other people's content when you need to be creating your own. But it is important to be present, you know, in other people's lives to build those relationships. So, oh, and for Instagram, what I do as far as managing that, you can save a post, hit the little flag thing on in the corner. I mean, you can Google it, save, and then add to a collection. And I have a collection on my account that's like heart, like build, like, so like build love, you know, pour love into these people that maybe they are people that I met on Instagram. So like I want to, and I just think they're awesome and they fit into one of those two categories, right? So I can go into that every day, click over to their, oh, did they post something that I didn't see? Yeah, they did. Okay, I'm going to heart it and I'm going to leave a little comment. I'm not going to comment every single time and be a weirdo, you know, but like a reasonable amount. Again, listen to your own stalker signal, your own stalker dar. No, don't worry, you're not a stalker. Okay. Now let's talk about, okay, switch gears to your own posts, your own stuff, your own content that you're putting out there. You're going to hear this a lot, probably, you know, from me and every other person that ever says stuff about social media, but you always want to be super focused on providing as much value as you can, right? And it's kind of like, what do you mean by that? Sometimes I get, excuse me, I'm like, I had an anxious soda, now I'm burping. What do you mean by value? Like, okay, here's an easy way to look at it. So, and dang it, I cannot remember who. No, this is a Lindsay Teague Moreno thing. That's right. Okay, I'm almost positive. So I learned from her a while ago. What makes for good content? Well, it's kind of a scientific thing, you know, based on like what people actually, you know, marketing research and what people have seen that people actually respond to, what the human brain responds to, and it generally falls into 3 categories: inspirational, educational, or entertaining. So she was saying your content should pretty much always be one of those 3 things. And there are so many different ways to be inspirational, to be educational, to be entertaining, right? Like it doesn't, you know, you don't have to be like hilarious to post something entertaining. Maybe it's like your kid did something funny and you're, you know, but also, in general, she says, God, I'm like shedding everywhere. Generally, your personal brand will have, will kind of gravitate towards like 2 of those 3 things, usually. So like, yeah, say maybe you are something you're like, oh, like funny isn't like super my thing. Like I tend to be a little more, I don't know, you know, introspective or whatever. So maybe your 2 things that your content usually it falls into is inspirational or educational. So inspirational, I mean, you don't have to be Brene Brown. I mean, you can be talking about your own, you know, things that you're struggling with or whatever. You don't have to be the one that's like, everyone be inspired by me. Like well, that's a whole other topic for another day. We can talk about that more. something that like, brightens someone's day. That can be sort of inspirational, right? Like something that just is like, makes you feel good in whatever way that is, right? So there's a lot of different ways to be these things, inspirational, educational, or entertaining. So how can you be providing value in those three things? That is a bigger topic. Like I said, dang it, we're already 10 minutes in. I was going to try to keep this reasonably short. So we will dive into those things more in detail later, but be thinking about that. Okay, now let's talk about, I want you to think of, say you're walking down, in the mall or whatever, and, there's some stores there that you don't even know what they are, and you're walking by, and what is it that makes you decide whether or not to go in that store? It's the storefront, right? What you see in the little window there, right? So they're putting their best, most interesting stuff in their storefront. They're putting out their bud, and if it matches you, then you're gonna walk inside. So we need to be thinking about our social media presence in general as our storefront. So if people are scrolling and they see things from us that turns them off in whatever way, they're not walking into the store, they're not going to buy from you if something, whatever it is that you're putting out there, is annoying or super negative or really drama, and they're just like, get out of here, or just boring and mundane, like, why are you posting about your macaroni? Like, we have to be thinking our storefront and what people see and the vibe that they get is what's going to draw people in or repel them. So you can go and either do it to your own profile or someone else's, and you can do on Instagram or on Facebook, and just go to their profile and like kind of scroll down, what kind of vibe do you get? And we're talking about that more later. Again, I'm recording these out of order. We're talking about that more later in personal branding. So like the words that come up, what kind of a vibe? And that is your storefront, right? Why that is going to be something that you always are going to need to filter things through is because, like, if you're putting something out there in your window, it was very hard for me to hold my tongue over the election back at 20, what are we now? Oh my God. Was it 28? No, 2016. Very hard. But I decided that where I was going to have an outlet for that, for my thoughts and feelings on something that's extremely divisive, has the potential to turn people off, is I was going to go into groups that were like-minded of people that have the same political opinions as me to get it all out, right? There's a bazillion private groups out there. You can find your place to like have that, you got to protect the storefront. I don't want somebody who happens to really super not like agree with my political beliefs. I don't want to fail to like provide what I have to offer to them just because we have that in between us. No, I care more about that person than to let that happen, right? So that's important. Okay. Let's talk about, this is, everyone wants to know, okay, well, I want to be posting about oils and stuff on social media, but like, how much is too much? And what should I do? And what does that look like? So we like to call this the golden ratio. Now, so we're talking about like stuff on your actual Facebook wall. Do they still call it a wall? Your timeline? Raise your hand if you had the original Facebook back when it was only colleges 800 years ago. Or your Instagram grid, right? Okay. So those static posts that are always there. Me and all the other gurus. Yeah, right. I'm not a guru. It's generally agreed on that you don't want to do any more than a 1 out of 5. So 1 in 5. So like 5 personal, real life, real human, not sales, just here I am as a human, my life posts, to 1 that is like, hey, here's what why I put peppermint on myself thing. So, and that is like minimum. So, but there's exceptions to that rule. So and again, I always say, pay attention to your radar, your whatever it is that dings those like, ooh, am I being weird? If you feel like 1 in 5 is too much, maybe it is too much for you. Maybe it is too much for your brand. Maybe you don't post enough things currently. I go through seasons of that where I'm just like a little bit too quiet, like on Facebook or whatever, and I've not been posting like my day-to-day life. So I need to be careful and like maybe pump in a few more. Maybe I'm going to do like 7 or 8 regular posts before I jump back in with an oil one. So I'm just going to be paying attention to like, how is this being perceived and what, how is this feeling to me? So maybe it's 1 out of 5, maybe it's 1 out of 10. It's what is right for you and your audience and what's working for you. However, the magical exception to this is stories. So you probably don't post on Facebook or post on Instagram like 8 times a day, or at least, some people post a lot and it works for them. Like, cool. I don't hardly ever post more than once per day on Facebook or Instagram. But I will do a little story-roo. I try to do that. I try to do at least several every day, like on Instagram, and then it transfers over to Facebook. Stories. So we're going to talk more about that. If you don't know what it is, you're going to Google. And then we'll talk. So if I'm posting my everyday life, I did a video of my kid grabbing my glasses. I did a video of, Leona and the dog running in the yard. And then I did a video of my picture of my toast that I burnt or whatever, things of my personal life. Maybe I do, 5 or 6 of those. I could still toss in an oily one every day or more, really, because is it that obtrusive for me to be like, do a little boomerang of my diffuser and just say what's in it? Not like, buy from me, PM me for more information if you want an oil too or a diffuser too. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just like, this is my life, right? Okay, so that is like a blessing from the social media gods. Praise be to, no, Zuckerman, you don't deserve, okay. That we can do that more often. We can be peppering in oil stuff on social media more often because of stories. So hallelujah. Okay. Let's talk about stories in another sense. So, not the actual feature stories, but storytelling. This is another entirely separate day, I believe I have planned. So we'll get into that in more detail. However, this is another one of your very, very critical tools on social media is that you want the majority of what you post to be a story, whether it's personal and whether it's, especially if it's oil stuff. You don't want to just be spouting off like, these are 10 uses for peppermint, and like, that's not going to work. No one's going to care about that because they didn't ask for an encyclopedia article when they're scrolling through Facebook. You scroll through Facebook because you're wanting to read about people's lives because we're nosy and weird and we like drama llama. So we like to know what's going on in people's lives. So you gotta frame it in terms of like, here, the craziest thing happened to me with my peppermint today, or whatever. So, okay. But yes, we're going to get into that more later because that's literally a whole other topic. It's a whole book. It's a whole everything. Okay. Storytelling. Now, let's talk about, okay. And this kind of goes along with storytelling. We will talk about how when you follow the story format, remember that it's never, the hero of your story is not you. It's not you. It's you. It's your audience. Okay. And that is a super like critical skill to master and how to do your story so that people see themselves in it, not just like, oh, it's all about you. It needs to be relatable to them. So because of that, whenever you are going to be posting about your oil stuff, make sure that you don't make it about, it's like a catch-22. I mean, you're making it about you in terms of it's your own stories, But do not, especially when you're pitching, when you get to the point where you are maybe putting out a little pitch for a kid sale or a special you're doing or something about that, make sure that it is always framed in a way that is still about your audience and what can I do. It's always a what's in it for me. What's in it for me? That's what's running through their minds. Always, always, always. So we never can make it about us. Okay, so like say you're like close to rank and you're like, so I'm super close to rank and it would really help me out if like da 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 da. Like we can't do that. We can't do that. You can take people on your journey and tell them like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like I'm super close to ranking up with my company and blah blah blah. But like, but it's not like in terms of, oh, I need you to help me reach my goals because it's all about me. Like, no, we're here to help you with your wellness goals and your, that's our goal. That's our mission. Make sure that is always at the forefront, that your mission is not about yourself, because that is already, something that is like a stereotypical sales MLM thing, right? We want to make sure people know like, this is about, we're in this for a greater good. Okay. Another just quick practical thing. This is a huge struggle for me. So it's like, okay, I need 5 to 10 posts, and then I need to put, an oil poster or whatever. It can be hard for me to stay on top of it and have that much content coming out. So what keeps me sane is I like to have things already like prepped. I do like my stuff to be about like what's actually currently happening in my life. Something pops up that day, I post it or whatever. But I do like to have kind of like a backlog of like, I have a whole file, like a little note about, with like little one-liners, just things that came up to me that are like, I don't know, almost like a tweet, but I don't do Twitter. So like, that type of content, cause that's easy. I'm not even putting a picture with that. Great. Or I have another one that's like things I do want to make sure I take a picture of, or things that I want to do and take a picture of, places I want to go and like have a post about, or or things that I've been meaning to talk about. Something I'm going to write up a story that happened. Like social media doesn't have to be instant. Instagram doesn't have to be instant. Something that happened that day. Okay, so that was that helped me to kind of like, okay, I can like have a buffer of stuff. And so having notes in your phone or whatever it is that you kind of system that you use, you can also have, sometimes I get inspired by something that somebody else posts, especially with oil stuff, like, ooh, that's a really good recipe. I could share that too in my own way, right? So I like to sometimes I'll take screenshots and I will put those in an album of like content ideas. Sometimes it's personal stuff too, like something that someone did with their kids and I'm like, oh, I could do that, or just, and then you can also, if you really, I usually don't get to this point. Oh, I do on Instagram, actually. I do schedule out, you can even like to give yourself kind of a break, like, okay, I need a minimum of 3 posts this week. My life is boring right now. I'm going to have to plan this out. So if you can kind of have those things in your buffer little pile, have them planned out. These ones are going to go this week. I'm going to post this week. Have it planned out so that you don't run into this issue of like, oh my gosh, it's Saturday. I literally haven't posted anything all week. And oh my gosh, there's a freaking kit sale. Like, what am I going to do? I haven't even been you don't want to run into that. So, okay. So just, I'm like not the person that should be teaching you about how to be organized. We should probably have someone else on to teach you that. But those are my things that I try to do. Okay, well, those are some basic strategies. So again, we're going to flesh those out a lot more as we go. So let's chat, ask your questions, and let's talk about this some more. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much.